Hello, Internet! Welcome to my swollen face. So I've talked a little bit about the fact that I'm working on my master's dissertation and the fact that I'm reading only plays from the 16th and 17th centuries forever. But one thing that you notice when you read all of those plays is the way that subplots and character development is just randomly dropped. I don't know why, but I have noticed that a lot of these seem to be trying to have purposes beyond just telling a story. Unfortunately, that still happens today without those, reasons. Subplots just are forgotten, characters go away and are never brought up again, and weirdly enough, characters come in without proper explanation of why they're there. Kind of annoying. So this is why subplots and characters need to be followed through. Subplots are great. We've talked about them a little bit in the past when it comes to romances because it fleshes out the story and it gives you a break from all of the action and punching and drama and all that, stuff that goes on. But I really appreciate it when you follow through on that. One of the most frustrating for me was The Circle, which is a romance subplot that is very clearly set up as a romance subplot, and then they just disappear and it's never brought up again. You get the flirting, you get the witty banter, you get the kind of sort of first date, and then he's mentioned twice more for the entire rest of the film. In the book, there's like a proper love triangle, but the film just like drops it. Why? Stop that. That's annoying. So probably the uber example of bad subplots that are never followed through is the wonderfully bad movie The Room. Chris R. and the drug money and the attack, the mum having breast cancer, never brought up again. Now that's just a bad movie. What if we talk about books and shows that are decent? So one of my favorite programs of all time is The American Office. Yet, I think it's season 6, there's this whole subplot where Dwight really wants to get Jim fired from the manager job. Remember that office that just magically appeared in the background of the set that had never been there before, but was just, we treated it like it had always been there? Yeah, that office. And he kept trying to get Jim fired to the point where he made an alliance with Ryan, and then it's never brought up again. Now true, Jim does step down of his own accord, and that would have, probably placated all of Dwight and Ryan's fears, but that was a pretty major subplot. Remember the thing with the mallard and the recording device, but there was like a secret recording device in the pen? That was a pretty major subplot for a while and just goes away. That's not how this works. Similarly, in Penny Dreadful, which is an excellent program, please watch it. In season 3, we are introduced to Dr. Jekyll, and that's like a big deal. Like there's that whole thing with Jekyll and Hyde, and since Penny Dreadful talks a lot about, Frankenstein's monster and vampires and people coming back from the dead, Jekyll and Hyde would have been an excellent addition. What does he do? He talks to Frankenstein sometimes. It would have been so cool, and you just drop it. Why? That would have been awesome. So just like subplots never being brought up again, there's also characters that are never brought up again. This is sometimes called Chuck Cunningham syndrome. This comes from Chuck Cunningham in Happy Days that went upstairs and was never brought down again. Completely forgotten. What about Ben in Friends? Do you remember how after Phoebe just like swore at him in front of the Miss Pac-Man machine and he never comes back? I think he's mentioned in a throwaway line in like one of the last seasons with Emma. Ross's parents say something about how they finally have a grandkid, and Ross says, well, what about Ben? And they're like, no. But seriously, I'm pretty sure that's the only time he's ever mentioned again in the last couple of seasons. He never meets Emma, and I'm sorry, but like I would have loved to see more Tiny Cole Sprouse. That's excellent. The first time I personally ever noticed this was actually in Wizards of Waverly Place when I was a bit younger, and she's got this bully called Gigi who just goes away. She's like a main character in the first season and then isn't brought up again. Is brought back for like 2 episodes in like the 2nd or 3rd season, and I was like, there she is, they actually brought her back, great. And then after that episode she's never brought up again. Like seriously, that was the first time I ever really noticed this, only for me to find out that it's a common thing. In Fringe, which I also love, there's this character called Amy Jessup from the FBI who comes in and investigates some of the weird goings on in the Fringe unit for 2 episodes, and then she's gone. Seriously, she's just gone. Why? On to all of like the weird goings on, but they just forget about it? That's a little bit annoying. if you ask me. But like on the other end of the spectrum, you also get characters not that just disappear without a trace, but who show up without explanation. So the first time I ever noticed this one was in Twilight. So yeah, Twilight's not great. There's a lot of stuff we can complain about with Twilight. But one of the first things besides Edward as a character that really bothered me while I was actually reading the books as a 12-year-old girl was the characters of Lauren and Ben in New Moon. In Ben's case, he's dating Angela, so it makes sense that he would show up kind of in the interim, but they never explain who he is. He's just there without really any explanation. So, oh, you know, Ben. But do we? And then there's Lauren, the girl who's supposed to be like the queen bee, which was a role previously filled by Jessica, but now Jessica and Lauren are separate characters. And I swear, Lauren never shows up in the first book. She's just sort of there, and she's referred to like it's normal. And Eric, the character of Eric, who was like a big deal in the first book, is really never brought up again. I think he might have like 1 or 2 throwaway lines. It's like Ben replaced Eric and Stephanie Meyer just forgot about it. But with Lauren, she's just a completely separate character. She just comes in like it's normal and everyone just treats it like it's normal. But it isn't, because I don't know who this girl is. I'll do that. Similarly, in the 4th series of Merlin, there's the character of Agravain. Now, Agravain can be a really good character sometimes, but who is he? So he's Arthur's uncle, he's his mother's brother, but he's also revealed in his first appearance to be aligned with the villain Morgana. Why? This is never really explained. I think at one point they say that he was trying to avenge his sister's death by going against the king Uther, but Uther isn't really doing much. Arthur is essentially king by series 4 because that was inevitable, yet he still aligns with Morgana. If he was angry at Uther, okay, fine, but Uther's not really there right now. If he was aligned against the magic that killed Igraine, why is he aligning with a witch? His motivations are never fully explained, and his presence there isn't either. They're just like, oh, my uncle who's been here the whole time. The uncle's like, I've known you forever. It's like, but we don't. Can we have this introduced? There's a time skip that explains why he's suddenly at court, but really his motivations and his reason for being there are never truly explained, and that's a little bit annoying. So that's my rant about how subplots and characters need to be fleshed out, please. I think the moral of this story is if you have a subplot, or if you introduce or get rid of a character, please just explain why they're there or where they went, or finish the subplot, because it's really annoying to be left hanging. Now, it's one thing in something like Game of Thrones where there's like a million different characters and you know that eventually that's going to be resolved, but when it's just a normal program, it's a little bit annoying. And then you sit there and go, but wait a minute, why? Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you like it. If you did, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button here and here. It's both now. I've linked all of my social medias down below, so please check those out. Thank you again so much for watching. I post new videos on Thursday. Bye!